Good morning, everyone. I am Anil Mantu, Product Manager for ClearPath Forward ePortal. We already have a large attendance today for this presentation. I welcome every one of you for this webinar. We have a set of new innovative features to be showcased today. I'm sure that these features will really add value to you all. So without much delay, let's get started. So I will briefly start this webinar by talking about ePortal product and how it will add value in your environment. Then Ralph will present all the new exciting features as well as talk in detail about the software edition for enterprise, which we are also releasing with 9.0. And then Navneet will talk about the ePortal services. And finally, we have a question and answer session at the end. I'm sure there will be a lot of those questions. We'll also be taking up questions in the chat. So my team and I would be ready to answer all the queries as and when they come up. So let's start with what's exactly ePortal is all about. Now, as we see, let's just talk about why there is a need for ePortal. Now, the needs of all the stakeholders within organizations as well as outside are evolving constantly. If we look at the evolving needs, the end user behavior has drastically changed over the last 5 years. Now the customers expect the use cases and availability of services on any of the devices they use at all the times. The end user has evolved and organizations need to be ready for the requirements that they bring with it. Secondly, if we talk about the nature of competition, that has also changed a lot in the last few years. Business models are constantly being eroded and new models evolve, filling in the gap which was there, making the current players redundant. Now the barriers to entry are dissolving and technology is at the forefront for all of this. So there is always a need to stay relevant with the changing times to provide value to the customer. With the changes in the budgets as well as there is a need to optimize the infrastructure for better costing as well as margin improvements, improve the agility as well as the flexibility within the organizations. So the way to differentiate and create stickiness with the user base is by providing a unique user experience which is aligned with the needs of the particular user group. So the question is, how do we take advantage of these challenging times and also provide a solution keeping the business goals in mind? Well, this answer is ClearPath Forward ePortal solution. This single implementation helps you solve the issue of modernization, helps service multiple devices, and integrates applications as we shall see in the coming slides. So I would like to start by briefly reviewing the ePortal overall role and place in the ClearPath environment. ePortal, as we know, is an end-to-end solution that lets you to easily extend and also your ClearPath applications can take advantage of new business opportunities by providing clients with the real-time access from the web, mobile devices, or through B2B web services. ePortal helps you in streamlining the business operations. It helps in reducing development and ongoing management and support costs. It helps improve end user satisfaction as well as adds agility by enabling to rapidly incorporate emerging mobile and web presentation technologies. Now the question is, how does ePortal accomplish all this? Yeah, the ePortal accomplishes this by enabling you to transform your monolithic single and two-tier applications into a modern, multi-tiered and agile architecture which is capable of delivering the latest web, mobile, and web services based interfaces. Now we can do this by leveraging your existing application assets in place and without change. Thereby, we eliminate the risk of interruption to any ongoing operations. At every point in the process, ePortal always provides a high degree of automation that assists through all the steps required, be it from capturing the existing presentation assets to the web tier application generation or through deployment and management to a highly scalable platform as a service infrastructure right from a single integrated solution. So let me talk about the ePortal configurations that we have. Historically, ePortal was available in two variants, as a business appliance and as an enterprise configuration as on a hardware appliance. With the last release, we were able to introduce Software Edition, which provided kind of a similar performance to a ePortal business version. Now with this release, we are introducing the Software Edition for the enterprise release as well. As we can see within this slide, business variant of the ePortal is an entry-level system, which was specifically meant for customers who want to try out features in a small IT setup with limited resources. This particular variant is actually non-scalable and non-redundant. If we summarize it, it's a simple product for you to go with your modernization. Now, ePortal Enterprise, on the other hand, helps customers with more advanced features like HA and scalability. It also gives higher level of SLAs as well as higher level of performance. Now with this release, as I mentioned, we have the software edition covered for both the variants. Let's quickly go through what are the key benefits that ePortal brings to the table. So I'll start with accelerated time to market. Now, since there is no need for any evaluation or sourcing integration technologies, a customer is able to save a lot of time with ePortal. As I mentioned earlier as well, applications do not need to be taken down for any patches or any updates. With a single project, we are able to generate a solution for the mobile, web, and web services, thereby leading to a large reuse. ePortal also brings with it extensive automation. There is no need for developers to actually write any code with ePortal. ePortal allows them to use web-based monitoring as well as staging. Now, there is also with ePortal an automated dynamic provisioning and load balancing, which removes any manual interventions at any point of time. Another key important feature of ePortal is that there is no new skills required to be learned. In all aspects, ePortal has a simple point and click approach, which helps generate a solution ready to use. There is no need to invest in training or hiring talent with any specialized skill set to be used on ePortal. Now, the design of the product is specifically tailored and designed keeping in mind the MCP and OS 2200 architecture. The last one, which is, one of the most important, the return on investment. Since there is no need to train or hire new talent which have any specialized skill set, so there is a lot of saving for the organizations with this solution. ePortal is flexible enough for changes and responses to any new cases and business opportunities that come for the client or the company. So it's agile enough to be changed accordingly. Now with a single project, we will be able to generate a solution on web, mobile, or the web services, which leads to a lot of savings. With this, I would like to ask Ralph to now talk about all the new features that we are introducing. Over to you, Ralph.
Thanks, Anil. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, welcome to ePortal again, release 9.0. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the new features we're introducing into this release. Again, some of the focus with ePortal is as Anil mentioned, we have both an appliances architecture, and now we're introducing software variants of that, software only variants of that. We're very focused on software defined data centers, so public clouds, private clouds, virtualized infrastructures. We've always been focused on business continuance. We have some features available there. DevOps is also a focus of ours. We've made many improvements to the management automation. For mobile, we have a new tooling approach for multi-device applications that I'll talk about. And with this release, we're releasing a new core-based licensing for across the entire suite of platforms, so both for the appliance platforms and for the software editions. So let me get started, and I'll talk about the our new runtime platform. So today, our latest hardware platform is referred to as the Gen 4.1. That's based on a Dell R430. With this release, we're releasing Generation 5. That's based on the Dell PowerEdge 640, and that's available before the end of the year. There's a couple things to note about this. I mean, we do these platform turns every so often. Mostly they're feature function replacements. In this case, there is an additional feature that you'll get for the R640, the Gen 5 platform, something called system recovery points. I'll talk about that a little bit. Of course, the support is extended now. It's 5 years support from the last hardware sale, so we've extended support. In addition to that, the notable difference between the platforms is that the new platforms are based on Windows 2016, as opposed to our existing platform, which was 2012 R2. The other thing to note is that the platforms are installed with ePortal 9.0. There isn't an option to downgrade to an earlier version once you've installed that platform. So it comes pre-installed with 9.0 with no downgrade option. And finally, the thing to note is that the new platforms are not mix and match compatible with existing 4.x installations. So that means if you have an ePortal system that has platforms in it, you can't extend that with the 5.0 hardware version of this Generation 5 platform. They are not mix and match. Okay. So let me talk about the new feature that's introduced with the Gen 5 platform. Again, this is only available for Gen 5 platforms. And what we've done here is we've introduced the ability to do a coordinated system-wide checkpoint, software checkpoint of the entire ePortal system. So what that means is that we will capture the state of the ePortal system across the platforms, across all the VMs, save that state, and allow you to revert back to that state should you need to do that. So why would you want to use this feature? It's really intended for short-term protection during things like planned updates. So for example, if you're going to deploy in a production environment, say redeploy applications or deploy new applications, maybe update the Windows versions of the systems, do ePortal software upgrades, or make some configuration changes. What you would do is take with a single click, take a restore point of the entire ePortal environment make your changes, deploy your applications, do your Windows updates, then test the system, make sure everything's performing and operational as you would expect. Should there be something wrong, it's been known to have Windows updates come out that somehow impact your production environment, or perhaps a software upgrade didn't go well, or your application isn't running as expected. You can quickly roll back to that restore point. And by quickly, I mean in a few minutes, get back to the save state. And again, that's across your entire ePortal environment, which can include up to 6 platforms and 24 VMs. This is available only for the ePortal Business and Enterprise Gen 5 platform, so you have to move to that new platform to get this feature. Okay, so I'm going to move on and talk about, Nil mentioned that we now have a update to our software edition offerings. As Anil mentioned, in the last release, we released an ePortal software edition of our business appliance. In this release, we're releasing an enterprise version of that software edition. So what's the difference between what we released before and this? Well, as the name implies, it's targeted towards the enterprise. And by that I mean for high availability scenarios. It's highly scalable, and it's targeted really for private cloud virtualized infrastructures. The way we've done this is we've created what we call virtual appliances. So today we provide for the appliance-based product, we provide the hardware pre-configured and provisioned, as well as the entire software stack. So everything from the operating system all the way up to the ePortal runtime. That is managed and supported by Unisys, and it has very predictable performance and security, and it's a kind of a turnkey environment. With this, all we're providing is the ePortal runtime, but we create virtual appliances. So the client, are responsible for configuring the hypervisors, Windows OSs, the software licensing associated with that, of course providing the hardware, and creating the virtual machines and configuring the virtual networks. And once you have that, we provide an installer that takes that virtual machine, locks it down, and turns it into a virtual appliance. So once it's a virtual appliance, we now manage that software stack, and it looks and can perform, I'll say, very similar to our enterprise edition. Why I say it can perform is you're really responsible for doing a lot of the things that we used to do for you with the appliances, and talk about that a little bit more. So as I mentioned, this is a solution that runs on a hypervisor in a software-defined data center, and we support 2 major hypervisors. We support the VMware solution, as well as the Microsoft Hyper-V environments. It can be configured to support high availability. Again, we don't do that for you directly in terms of setting up, say, teamed networking, setting up fault domains, spreading your VMs across those fault domains, making sure there's no single point of failure. That process is now, that task is left to you to do that. What we do provide is, once you have that environment set up, we'll provide you the ability to create those virtual machines, virtual appliances. Now, this is very similar to what we did for in our last release for ePortal Business SE. The differences are, with ePortal SE, you maxed out at 16 cores and 1 platform. So you didn't have the scalability, and you also didn't have the ability to configure a high availability solution. With this release, you can go up to 96 cores. What you would do to get the high availability is distribute the virtualized appliances across fault domains. And you'll see here a little picture here where you have to ensure that you have, redundant hardware and so forth, and spread those across a fault domain, hardware fault domain, so that if there's any single point of failure, your applications don't see that. To make this easier, we've also included some prepackaged HA, high availability orchestrations for you, depending on the hypervisor. These are runbooks and things that will help you achieve that high availability that we have today in our enterprise appliance-based solution. I'll talk about those a little bit more. And also we've, to accommodate software-defined networks, we've opened up the back-end networking now, so there's no need to have direct communication or direct connection between ePortal and your back-end servers. You have a lot more flexibility and some security options so that you can move your VMs around and have a lot more flexibility. Sorry, a little bit of a cold. Okay, so let's talk about the high availability options we have available. So this is to assist you essentially in recreating that high availability option you have for ePortal Enterprise. And again, these are prepackaged orchestrations that enable these functions. And depending on if you're in a Hyper-V environment or VMware, it's different technology that's used to accomplish this. Basically, we have two use case scenarios. These are operations that we provide on the appliance-based version of this. So the first one is to replicate the manager. We call it manager resiliency. So if anything happens to your ePortal manager, there's a backup standby that you can quickly move to and recover the system that way. So it's basically a manager replication and with a restore point. What the scripts do is they make it very easy to implement that in both a VMware environment and Hyper-V environment. In VMware, we use VMware vRealize orchestrator workflows, and in Hyper-V, we use System Center orchestrator workflows. So a very, very easy way to ensure you have high availability with respect to ePortal Manager, which is a key component in ePortal for managing the system. Now, the second script we provide is, this is, again, the manager, replicating the manager. And as I should have mentioned, you can also pause, resume, and stop and recover the manager. So it gives you additional control over the manager using this. So the other high availability capability we're providing is a restore point workflow. So I mentioned before, for our new Gen 5 platform, we have the ability to take a restore point or a system checkpoint across the entire system, and then essentially roll back the system to an earlier point in time. We've provided for the Software Edition Enterprise the same ability, but we've done it with the technology, different technology. So we've used the VMware scripting and the Hyper-V scripting. And again, this is the same use case. It's a use case where you're going to update your system or change configuration or deploy applications. What you'll want to do is run the script, which will capture your environment across platforms and among all the VMs that are in the platform. You roll out your updates and test, and if there's an issue with it, then you can easily, within minutes, get back to an earlier state. Again, we view this as a temporary kind of, you wouldn't continue to run or keep those old restore points around because there are some performance implications to doing that. but it is an extra capability that you have to ensure that you get that high availability in this environment. Okay, so that's our ePortal Enterprise Software Edition. I'll talk about a few things that we've done in the development side of things. So developing those modernized applications. We made a few changes to ePortal Developer. Now ePortal provides you, as Emil mentioned, the ability to capture existing ClearPath assets and export them in a variety of client-based technologies. We've always supported SOA and web services. Much of the focus in the past has been around SOAP-based web services, so Simple Object Access Protocol web services. And they're still popular in enterprises. Often, enterprise customers are still interested in that technology. But what's emerged in the last few years is, or gained more attention, is RESTful services. So we've always had RESTful services. In this release, we're adding some capabilities there. We're giving you much more control over the type of services that you can generate from a particular model. So the use case with ePortal is you first capture your assets, and that can be the raw COBOL from your applications or screens or forms repositories, AB Suite or EAE artifacts. And once you have that, you create a model. And then from that, you can generate a variety of client-based access technologies. In addition to that, we've always had the ability to take a monolithic application and target or break that apart and provide it as a as targeted for a targeted audience. You've heard of microservices now are very popular. Well, ePortal's been able to support microservices for quite a while now, because what you can do is take that monolithic application and create very fine-grained service interfaces out of that, and expose that application as a variety of microservices using RESTful technology. So we've improved on that in many ways. In this release, we're also giving you the ability to create a schema for those services. So not only can you generate those services automatically for your application, but you can generate the schema so that you can have automatic client generation when you import that schema to create client interfaces for that. So a nice addition to that. The other thing that we've done for this release is we've changed our approach to generating multi-device mobile applications. So we've taken a couple different approaches in the past for mobile. One of the latest approaches, or our latest approach, is based on responsive web applications. So basically, for when you generate a UI for your application, we use responsive technologies that will adapt to the device that is accessing your application. So if your form factor is a smartphone, the same application will adapt itself for that smartphone. If it's a desktop web browser, it'll adapt and use the space efficiently for that device or tablet or any others. So that's our responsive app generation. Now, if you want to do what we call a hybrid app, and that's a mobile app that gets actually installed on the device, it's not accessed through a web browser, we provided an approach called a multi-device application approach in our previous releases. And that essentially took that responsive app, wrapped it in a container provided by the open source project Apache Cordova. And what Apache Cordova does is it provides a bridging technology between web world and your local device, so that you can access functions that you couldn't normally access through web technology. Things like QR, barcode reading, accessing accelerometer or GPS, accessing applications on the device like the contact list and so forth. So we still generate the app for you, but we provided a very easy way to access those native functions through custom controls that we provided for you. So if you wanted to turn your phone into a QR reader, you simply drag and drop a text box on there, assign it or type it as a QR reader, and if there's a camera on the device, you could input data from a QR code into the text box. Otherwise, you could, if it's a browser or something like that doesn't have a camera, you'd have to enter the numbers in manually. So all that's very automated, and we provided a nice solution for that. Now the other way we did that to make a cross-platform application is we created something called the Unisys Cloud Build Service. And while that application can be built on Windows for Windows Universal apps and for Android apps, when it came to the iOS devices, Apple iOS devices, they actually have to be built on a Macintosh or the Mac OS. And so what the cloud service did was package up your application from Visual Studio, ship it off, build it on the cloud service, and return the built app for you. Our new approach now is Microsoft has, in the last year or two, come out with something very similar to what we had delivered in our early releases with support for Apache Cordova. So rather than support that proprietary way of doing this, in this release, we've leveraged the Microsoft approach to doing this. You get some new capabilities here that I'll talk about in a minute. The old method, our old project, has been deprecated in this release. You won't see a project for multi-device app in 9.0, the old project template. And that Unisys Cloud Build Service I mentioned before is also something that we'll decommission at a future date. So let's talk a little bit more about this new approach. We've always supported Microsoft Visual Studio. In this release, we support both Microsoft Visual Studio and Microsoft Visual Studio Code. So Microsoft Visual Studio Code is kind of a Microsoft technology development environment. But in addition to running on Windows, it runs on Mac OS and Linux. So it's kind of a cross-platform version of Microsoft Visual Studio. Both of those use the Android SDK and the mobile emulators that are included with Android. And what's nice about it is some of the emulators now have gotten much better and have lots of capability that we didn't have before. You have lots of options when debugging and running your code by leveraging this solution from Microsoft. You can do everything from browser simulation of your mobile application. You can use device emulators that become very robust and very nice now compared to the earlier versions. Or you can actually tether hardware devices to it. The approach is that you build your Android and Windows Universal apps on a Windows machine. And the way Microsoft has set this up is that when it comes time to build the iOS version, it actually does something similar to what we used to do, but only on a local area network. It packages up that application, ships it over to a Mac OS on the network, and builds it there, and then delivers the package back to you, the built package back to you. So very similar to our approach, except you're now responsible for at least setting up this environment in order to build the ePortal applications. Now, the type of applications, we provide feature parity with our other approach to doing this. What we did in that, if you're not familiar with it, is we generate a single page application, a very popular paradigm for the web right now. What that means is it has a look and feel very much like a native mobile application. And again, it uses that bridging technology provided by Cordova. You can program in either JavaScript or TypeScript and use CSS and HTML and all the familiar web technologies for the bulk of your application. We also provide those cross-platform hybrid controls I mentioned before for accessing the native functions of the device that you need to access, the camera, microphone, and things that are not typically or may not be available in a desktop application. Again, what we're generating here are applications that are natively installed on the device. So these are they are built using web technology, but they generate wrappers that enable you to install them on the device or publish them in the app stores. And again, this supports iOS, Android, and universal Windows applications. Now we have some updates to our ePortal management environment. One of the things, the themes that we've been working around is automation and services. In this release, all management functions can now be can be automated through a set of RESTful APIs. We're releasing over 200 service entry points for managing the environment. So you can use scripting, popular scripting tools, PowerShell, Puppet, or other tools, industry tools. Virtually all of them work with RESTful interface or provide a RESTful interface. In addition to that, we've also introduced role-based security for these management APIs. So based on your role as an administrator, operator, or developer, you can access a set of APIs appropriate for your role. In addition, we continue to improve this, and we've added nicer, more informative response types and reworked all the APIs in general to make a much nicer interface. So again, this is we're calling this the REST API 2.0. We still have the REST API 1.0 available, but we're deprecating that, which means it'll continue to work. But if you're using that API, you may want to consider some of the options and some of the new capabilities available in the 2.0 API. And we started off automation with SOAP-based APIs. Most of the industry has moved away from that paradigm, especially in recent years. And again, we're deprecating that interface. So the interface is there; it's available. We're just not adding to it. And some of the functions that are available in the 2.0 API are not available or won't be made available in the SOAP-based version. Okay. One other thing that we've done for the manager is we now have a new interface or a new extension to the manager. We're calling ePortal Monitor. And this, again, it complements the manager that you're familiar with today. It provides you a visual, graphical way to look at performance and any sorts of issues or problems with the system. The graphs themselves are customizable. You can create as many as you like, arrange them as you like, put the attributes or the performance counters or chart data that you like onto these, and arrange that and provide it on a single UI, single page. This is, again, something that's new, something that we don't have today, but it's really as a foundation going forward. We plan to release a new manager based on this new look and feel. It'll have many of the things that we've been requested over the years. So look at this as sort of a preview. You might want to check it out. You might want to use this, and it's kind of the direction we're going with the ePortal Manager. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, for this release, we have a new way of licensing and support for the ePortal appliances. In the past, so today for the ePortal Software Edition, it's a core-based license, and when you buy the Software Edition, you get a number of base license, core licenses, and then you can add to those cores by purchasing core packs and scaling the system. And that's the ePortal Business SE, that's our low-end model, has a fixed number of cores. So you can't extend that system, but it's still a core-based licensing approach. For the enterprise, you get a base set of core licenses, and then you can add core packs and scale it up to 96 cores. That's now going to be true for the appliances also. So if you have ePortal today and you want to go to 9.0, you'll see that you'll purchase 9.0 by purchasing core licenses. And going forward, that's how we'll distribute the software. Now, in addition to that, you're now required to get a Server Connect license for each backend server. So we've opened up the number of backend servers you can have. When ePortal started off, it was a one-to-one relationship between an ePortal environment and a single backend server. Over the years, at least for the enterprise, we've enabled, I think, up to 8 backend servers. With the SE versions, that's unlimited number of backend servers you can connect an ePortal system to. However, each of those servers requires a Server Connect license, and I believe that's a tiered license, so if you have a low-end system, you might pay one price for that. And as you go up to the higher-end systems, it's kind of a small, medium, and large approach. The licenses must be activated, so when you install your ePortal, you'll get, the system will run fine, but you'll see a countdown of a grace period for 60 days, after 60 days you won't be able to use the system effectively. Effectively, you won't be able to create clusters with the system. So you have 60 days before activating the license. So that's the new core-based licensing. The other change we've made is that the software is supported for ePortal SE and Enterprise is supported for 2 major releases of ePortal plus 6 months. So if you buy 10.0, you would get 11.0 and 12.0 plus 6 months, after which we stop supporting that software release. Once you get the licenses, they need to be activated. You'll see some new screens on there to activate the license through the ePortal Manager. So that's the main features that we have, and the major features that we have. We have lots of other things that we've implemented, smaller things. I won't have time to go through all of them here, but I encourage you, if there's something that you were interested in, look at our release notes for this release. You might find something there that we've done. We've done a whole bunch of interesting things around giving you flexibility with certificate management, how you store your backups in ePortal. One interesting thing we've done is we really enhanced the way non-form screens are handled in ePortal in a browser. So it gives you functions that are almost like an emulator, just through a standard browser. And we have lots of things around options around IIS logging. And one thing we've also done is we've updated all the third-party frameworks and tooling that we've used, that's used in ePortal. So you'll see newer versions of Cordova, you'll see support for .NET Framework, and so forth. Okay. So again, in summary, we have the new Generation 5 platform. We have the new ePortal SE Enterprise we're releasing with this. Lots of new high availability features. We have a new way to monitor performance and health, a very graphical, customizable way. We're focused on DevOps with hundreds of entry points into management automation, a new way to support multi-device hybrid applications, as well as new RESTful web service generation capabilities, and that new core-based software licensing and software release support. So with that, I'll pass it over to Navneet, and he'll talk a little bit about the service offerings we have for ePortal. Thank you.
Thanks, Ralph. Hello, everyone. I am Navneet Kumar, Product Manager for ClearPath Forward Services. In this section of presentation, I am going to talk about various ePortal services at your disposal and benefits you can derive out of these services. As you can see in this slide, we have a comprehensive services portfolio for ePortal. To help you with ePortal journey, we have introduction and assessment service, consulting or proof of concept service, installation service, digital modernization service, and client training service. I will elaborate each one of these services in coming slides. Introduction and assessment service. So this service makes you aware of the possibilities that ePortal offers in terms of digital modernization. There are two parts to this service. Under introduction, we will acquaint you with ePortal features, differentiators, value proposition, and benefits. We will also explain how to use ePortal to enable your ClearPath applications digitally. Under assessment, we will understand your requirements, assess your applications, and do holistic assessment of suitability of ePortal in your environment. As a deliverable of this service, we would share assessment report with findings and recommendations with you. The consulting or proof of concept service is here to assist you in understanding and making an appropriate decision for ePortal strategy by doing a proof of concept. The experiences and insights of the proof of concept can then be extended to the rest of the applications. The first step under the scope of the services, identify and import, where we work with you and confirm screens to be modernized, import layout for selected screens or transactions. Then we install and configure ePortal components in your environment. Next step is modernization, where we generate presentations for the identified screens, followed by staging, deployment, and testing of the solution. Under demonstration step, we would do final walkthrough with and demonstration of generated presentations. So why proof of concept service makes sense? Rapidly visible results would help you in decision making and in identifying areas needing special attention. You can leverage your existing ClearPath investments and see if ePortal would be a good fit for you or not. Installation service. The objective of this service is to install and configure either of ePortal Enterprise or Software Edition in your ClearPath MCP, OS 2200, AB Suite or EAE environment. As you can see in the slide, the key stages under this service are installation, configuration, and assistance. Installation includes a planning meeting with your team, validation of host environment, downloading installation package from UDC, installing ePortal platform software, etc. Once installation is complete, configuration of ePortal environment is done according to agreed upon infrastructure design. We will also assist you with activities like network configuration, disaster recovery procedures, verifying ePortal configuration with ePortal Manager. Digital modernization service. Using digital modernization service, you can enable your existing ClearPath applications portfolio on all omni-channel digital platforms and focus on your core business, providing business continuity, boost adaptability, and drive down your total cost of ownership. We will provide end-to-end implementation of web services as well as web and mobile enablement using ePortal to modernize your MCP or OS 2200 applications. This service includes phases like assessment, proof of concept, implementation, user experience design, and training. Unisys digital expertise will be with you starting from strategy formation to execution to provide shortest application modernization lifecycle, ensuring minimal business disruption. In this slide, a roadmap is depicted for a typical modernization journey. As you can see in the left bottom corner, we start with as is state of your ClearPath applications. In first stage, we envisage and define strategy for your applications modernization. The next stage is optimize and stabilize, where we do proof of concept, understand your screen customization requirement, do installation and configuration of ePortal. The last stage is adopt and transform, where we develop, test, and deploy the solution in your production environment. As an outcome of this journey, you will have a portfolio of digitally enabled ClearPath applications on all omni-channel digital platforms. To summarize, I will briefly touch upon why Unisys Services will be a right partner for your IT needs related to ClearPath and ePortal. In Unisys, you are engaging with the partner that developed the system in its R&D center and thus able to offer implementation and upgrade of the IT system in an optimal and predictable manner. We have best practices and assets to assist in different stages of implementation and modernization. We guide our clients through the journey of maximizing value that ePortal provides. With this, services section of presentation is over. I will now hand over to Anil for concluding remarks. Over to you, Anil.
Thank you, Navneet. S- So this is just a summary of what my team and I presented today. So we have a set of new features which I'm sure make this product more interesting and will add more value at the customer level. ePortal is a great way of application modernization, and I think we have moved further in that direction. We will be putting this webinar presentation in the YouTube ePortal playlist as well. Uh, Thank you everyone for your time today. And I just wanted to add that ePortal 9.0 will be available in the coming week. And thanks everyone for your time today.